Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started if you're ready. Thank you all for coming out this morning. My name is Pace Halter. I'm the President and Chief Operating Officer at W.C. Bradley Real Estate and the 2020 Columbus Chamber of Commerce Chairman. It's an exciting day for Columbus, for the Chamber, and for our entire region. Today we get to announce the Chamber's new President and CEO. Before we get into that, a couple of quick housekeeping items. I want to say thank you to Jamie Keating and the folks at Epic. They have some waters in the back. If you're thirsty, please help yourself. There are restrooms as well in the building here. So please make yourselves at home, stay comfortable, and as socially distanced as you feel comfortable as well. Before we get into introductions and a couple of comments from different folks, I want to take just a second to thank really three groups of people. We have been at the Chamber now without a president and CEO for quite a while, honestly, almost 11 months. The staff at the Chamber has done an amazing job of running that Chamber without a president and CEO, and it is absolutely appropriate for me, the board, and everyone in this room to give a sincere thank you to all of the Chamber staff for their hard work. So. Secondly, I'd like to thank the Chamber Board. This morning we had a special called meeting to go through a formal approval process of our new president and CEO. I'm happy to report he came to that board with unanimous support from the search committee, the executive team, and as of this morning, a unanimous approval from the board of directors. So to my board and the Chamber Board, thank you all for your support during this time. And then lastly, I absolutely have to say a tremendous thank you to the search committee. A number of the search committee folks are in the room today. You know who you are. Thank you very much for your efforts through this process. It was not an easy process. It was obviously a very long process. We did make it through. We absolutely came out with the right decision. And a special thank you to Billy Blanchard, who chaired that search committee for the Chamber. Billy came back out of Chamber retirement to chair that committee and did a tremendous job. So with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask Billy to come up, tell you a little bit about the process, a little bit more about the search committee, and then I'll be back up in just a second. So thank you. Billy?
Thank you, Pace. Good morning, everybody. Great to see everybody out and about again. Fun to be able to look at people in person. So glad you all came out. This is an exciting day for this community and for this region to be able to introduce the new president and CEO of our chamber. Pace is going to introduce him, but before he does, I wanted to take a minute and just mention some very special people who are involved in this process and thank them. And I also want to tell you a little bit about the process that we went through. First of all, when we started this process, it was back in September. Audrey Hollingsworth was the chair of the board. And Audrey, I want to thank you for allowing me to participate in this and thank the executive committee of the chamber. It's been fun to get back to work for the chamber a little bit, so thank you for that. And then I want to just recognize the very special group of people who served on the search committee. Y'all, these folks did an amazing job. Very challenging process, incredible servant leaders, incredible servants in this community who y'all know and have seen be involved in many things before. But I'm going to mention them, each one of them, introduce them. Pace Halter, Audrey Hollingsworth, Russ Carricker, Audrey Tillman, Joseph Brannon, David Rumpf, Cedric Hill, and Betsy Covington. Y'all, we had a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings. We read a lot of resumes. We had interviews, dinners, tours. We did it all. And I can tell you that we never struggled to get a crowd. I think there was only a few times in the whole process where we were missing even one person off that group. So incredibly committed. I'm humbled and honored to have worked with all you guys in this process. As far as the process goes, the decision was made early that we needed to hire a consultant to help us identify the best candidates out there and to help us through the process. We interviewed 3 consultants, and we ended up hiring Todd Jorgensen of Jorgensen Consulting. He was not able to be here today, but I will tell you that I think most of the people on the committee would feel like that was probably the first of a couple of really good and right decisions we made. Todd was fantastic. He felt like, or said, this process typically takes 4 months to complete. He was not right about that for us at this time. We knew it was going to be a little longer because of the holiday season that was, excuse me, in between or right in the middle of this process. What we didn't know about was the impact and the delay caused by the COVID pandemic, and that certainly became a story and a part of our process. And I think if Todd were here today, he'd tell you that this was as unique and challenging a process that he's ever been through, largely because of that. So, but he stuck with us, helped us get to the end, and we're grateful to him for his service. As far as our new president goes, I can tell you our committee, from the minute we read the resumes, put him at the top of our list and felt like he was a great fit for our community. And he gave us a lot of confidence that he was going to be the right guy to run the chamber. He became our first candidate as we went through the interview process immediately, and he remained the #1 candidate unanimously for our committee, really the entire process out after that. So we got to a point where we were ready to kind of make an offer and finalize a deal, and literally within a day or two of doing that, the governor sent us all home to shelter in place and quarantine. And understandably at that time, due to all the uncertainty, he decided to withdraw from the process. We were all disappointed by that, but we also understood, because we were dealing with the same uncertainty and concerns for our own families, our own health, and our own businesses and those sorts of things. So we understood that. Todd jumped right into action, and he began to prepare a new slate of candidates for us. And in April, we began to review those candidates. And about that time, our new president now called back up and said, I want to get back in the process. We were elated and excited, and even in light of new candidates, he remained unanimously our #1 choice. So we began in earnest to finalize it again, and in early May we were able to do that. And of course it's late June now. I will tell you, COVID even postponed this announcement as it made it challenging for him to have the right kind of communication process with his existing team in Atlanta. And so while we hated to wait, we did, and it was the right thing to do. And sitting here today, I can tell you that this is worth the wait. I know that as you guys get to know him, you're going to see the attributes and the qualities that our committee saw. And I am confident that you're going to believe that the chamber is in good hands under his leadership. So I'm going to turn it back over to Pace to introduce him. Before I do, I say one last, and again, thank you to Todd Jorgensen, and thank you to the committee for your insight, your energy, your time, your input over what became a 10-month process for us. This community is fortunate to have you guys serving in it and working in it, and I'm humbled and honored to have been with you, and I'd say job well done in this process. Thank you.
Man, I'll be able to skip the gym this afternoon. Billy, thanks again for the leadership and the kind words. I appreciate you taking the lead on this process. So let me tell you a little bit about him. Born and raised in Savannah, Georgia, so we got a Georgia boy. Received his undergraduate degree in economics from Armstrong Strait, now part of Georgia Southern. Followed that with a master's in business administration from Georgia Tech. Began his career at Comcast Cable Communications, and during an 8-year tenure, he served as regional marketing, governmental affairs, customer service, and operations manager. From there, he moved to the Georgia Department of Economic Development as a regional project manager. Following that, he became the Director of Economic Development for the Coastal Regional Commission, and then ultimately the Director of Innovation for the Savannah Economic Development Authority. It was at that point in 2014 that he moved to Atlanta to take over the position that he is currently in as Vice President of Economic Development for the Atlanta Beltline. For those of you not familiar with the Beltline, it's a small $4.5 billion economic driver that rings the city of Atlanta. Outside of his day job, he serves on several boards, including the Georgia Tech Alumni Trustee Board, the Leadership Georgia Trustee Board, the Georgia Public Telecommunications Commission, and the Georgia Workforce Investment Board. Those last two are important to note. Those are both by the governor's appointment. So a very unique and distinguished honored position for him there. And then beyond that, he serves on several foundation boards and has a number of professional affiliations. As great as all of that sounds, perhaps most importantly, he's been married to his lovely wife, Stephanie, for 5 years now. And she, in her own right, has quite a professional career as an attorney, working for several law firms, and is now senior in-house litigation counsel for Siemens Corp. So with all of that said, I cannot tell you what an honor it is for me to be able to stand up here and introduce to Columbus, Georgia, Jerald and Stephanie Mitchell.
Wow. Good morning. This is a very humbling experience and an exciting opportunity for me and Stephanie. We're really excited about coming in and meeting you all and building relationships and moving Columbus forward. I want to start by thanking some folks. I want to thank the mayor, city manager, any other elected officials that have made it for coming out. The selections committee was absolutely fabulous throughout the entire process, as well as the board of directors for the chamber. I'd also like to thank community members, the business leaders, and members of the community as well. My good friend Chris Clark from the Georgia Chamber is here as well. I really appreciate their presence here today. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my wife, Stephanie. I was going to call her lovely too, but Pace beat me to the punch. Again, I couldn't be here and accomplish the things that I've accomplished throughout my career without her love and support, so I really appreciate that stuff. So I'll have you all know that the Columbus community throughout this entire process showed really well. And I've certainly taken note of the extraordinary assets that this community has in place. And the hospitality goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. Because the kindness, even, Steph and I have snuck into town on many different occasions just to check things out and make sure that this was a place we wanted to be. And I will tell you that the experiences that we've had interacting with different people throughout the community just never faltered. It was always equally as welcoming as the previous occasions that we've been here. I want to give a special thanks to the team at the Chamber and Development Authority for keeping the world spinning during this time of transition. You guys have done a fantastic job, and I could not be more proud of joining a group of professionals like you all. And I want to thank you and the community and the business community for being so supportive of the work that they're doing. I look forward to joining that and to moving it forward. So if we could just give that group a round of applause. Again, they've done a fantastic job. Just a quick word about the Atlanta Beltline, if you guys will give me that moment of privilege. It is an absolutely classy organization. It's because of that organization that I've been able to further well around my economic development and community experience. And I will tell you that that organization did not make this decision hard. And it's not because I wasn't excited to be here. It was because I, too, recognized the potential and what we had accomplished. And then COVID happened. And it was hard to, as Billy said, you know, feel like you're leaving that in a bad way. So again, I wanted to make sure that we had the right things in place and that they could continue to thrive from an economic development standpoint as well. So again, I just want you guys to know that they'll always be a friend of mine, and I really appreciate everything that they've afforded me up to this point as well. Again, I look forward to this transition being complete and to joining you and expanding upon the great work that you've already done. Thank you so much for being so welcoming. And in the coming weeks and months, I look forward to building better relationships, getting to know many of you as well as people who aren't in the room. And again, I thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to working collaboratively with the Columbus community. So again, thank you.
I got to tell you, this not shaking hands stuff is killing me. So I hope you now understand why we as a board and at the chamber are so excited about Gerald and Stephanie coming to town and Gerald taking over our Chamber of Commerce as president and CEO. He did reference Chris Clark, and I'm going to ask Chris to come up and make a few words, but before he does, I think it's important to understand a little bit about the role that the chamber plays both here at a local level, but as importantly, the support that we get from the Georgia Chamber, which Chris is president and CEO of. All of the chambers in Georgia heavily rely on the Georgia Chamber for support on all levels. And Chris has been a huge fan, a huge supporter of Columbus for a number of years. He and I have only recently gotten to know each other, and so far it's been a fabulous relationship. He was kind enough to step out of session today in Atlanta to run down here and be with us for this announcement. And I think very quickly he's going to run back to Atlanta to jump right back into session. So I won't make him wait any longer, but it is important, and I think it's good to understand how big a role the state chamber plays for not just Columbus, but all of the local chambers. So, Chris?
Thanks, Pace, and it is nice not to be at the Capitol for a few minutes today, so thanks for the opportunity to be with you guys. I do care a lot about Columbus. My great-grandparents are actually buried about 2 miles that way, and so this is a special place to me. And I wanted to be here today because I do believe in Gerald and I do believe in this community. For those of you that aren't in the chamber world, chambers of commerce were created about 500 years ago. And we do today what we did 500 years ago. We are fierce advocates for job creation in our communities. We convene and facilitate the work of the business community. We tackle tough problems in our communities. And we help our businesses mitigate risk and take advantage of opportunities. And so we've been doing that, and you've been doing that in this community for a long time. But I think right now, in this environment that we're in, there are 3 things that are very important for every chamber in this country to focus on. Number 1 is the economic recovery. We are not out of COVID-19. Thank you all for having masks on today. Yesterday was our highest number of new cases in Georgia in 2 months. The economic impact of that is going to continue for the foreseeable future, and you need a robust team in place. Brian, you guys and the work that you do to recruit businesses, help small businesses, is vital. The second most important thing for chambers right now are to help their businesses be more resilient. You know, we've seen what it's like to have to be shut down. We need to have businesses prepared for whatever comes next, and trust me, something else will come next. It just is the way the world works now. And the third thing is that chambers, I believe, in my heart of hearts, ought to focus right now on is addressing the inequality of opportunity. To realize that if our neighbors aren't growing and prospering, we're not doing it as well. Today at 2 o'clock, we're actually having a national dialogue with the U.S. Chamber and the Georgia Chamber and many of you to talk about how we help address issues like systemic racism and inequality. And so if you know what a chamber is supposed to do and the opportunities it has, then you have to figure out what's a successful chamber and what's not, because we've all got chambers all over the place. Well, the difference in a community is, do you have a group of committed leaders who love their community and are willing to invest in it and that are there every single day, just like Billy and Pace and Bill Dudley and all the men and women in this room. And if you do, which you guys are fortunate to have that here, a lot of communities don't, then the next thing you'd have to do is those men and women have to go out and find the right leader to help develop the right strategy, build the right partnerships, and move the community forward. And that's what you're doing by hiring my friend Jerald Mitchell today. And Gerald, I've known you for longer. I was really trying to think how long I've known you, but I've watched Gerald grow both professionally, but also as a husband, as a man, but most importantly, as a leader over the last 10, 15, 20 years that I've known you. And about 4 years ago, I'm thinking it was about maybe 3 to 4 years ago, I tried to hire Gerald. I wasn't special enough to hire him, okay? You are, congratulations. But he and I were having a conversation. I said, Gerald, what do you look for next? What's important for you? I remember this like it was yesterday. He said, I want a great dynamic community with an incredible leadership team. It's a dynamic community where I can go in and I can make a difference in an organization that matters. And so I remember that Tuesday when Brian Anderson, I won't curse him like I normally do right now, called me to tell me he was leaving. And after I got over it, I called Gerald and I said, hey, you know what you said about what you were looking for? You might want to apply for this job. And so I couldn't be prouder and more excited about this partnership and this match, I think, made in heaven, because I believe Gerald's got the qualities that you need right now as a servant leader in his heart to help this community grow with all of you guys behind him. And I know that's just how you treated Brian and Mike, and I know that's how you're going to treat him. And so I will tell you, someone asked me a little while ago, what can we do to help Gerald be successful? Well, first of all, you've got a great team at the chamber around him, which is step number one. Step number two, you got a great leadership team. But I remembered a call that I got from Brian Anderson after he was here about 3 months, and I talked to him about every week when he got here. And at 3 months, he called me and says, I'm quitting. And I said, no, you're not. I said, blow off steam for a few minutes. So he did. And I said, what's wrong? And he said, there's so much here that I just don't know. And I'm trying every day to figure it out. And so I would encourage you, help Gerald every day. He doesn't know what you know. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. You need to bring him into your hearts, your families, your churches, your living rooms, so he can get to know you and get to know this community. And when he does, then he can do all the things that you want him to do. So I'm excited about this, so excited, in fact, that I'll tell you, I guess maybe make this announcement publicly. We've been working with Brian and Bill Pace and Billy now for a couple of years, and so today I'm happy to tell you officially that the Georgia Chamber and the Georgia Allies, which is a partnership of all our economic development organizations in the state, are happy to announce that in 2023, Columbus will be the host of the Georgia Red Carpet Tour. This is the longest running economic... If you'd picked the wrong leader, we wouldn't have done it. But congratulations, Gerald. So this is the longest running economic development program in the country. We're celebrating our 60th year next year. We bring in executives from around the world, site selection consultants from around the world, show them the best of Georgia. And we're picky where we take them. And so we are excited that in 2023 we'll bring that incredible group of men and women to spend several days in your community to get to know you, to see the best of what you have. This is a big deal. We haven't been here, I believe, Billy, in 25, 27 years. And so I hope you realize it's a couple years off because there's a lot of planning, Gerald, so just you and Brian put that on the plate. But know that as you're going to support Gerald, so will I and the Georgia Chamber and the Chamber family, and we're excited about this opportunity for him and his beautiful wife, as well as for this community. And thank you for letting me be part of it today, Pace. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. And again, thanks for making the effort to be here. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Georgia Chamber is also a tremendous resource for business owners. We try our best here at the Columbus Chamber, but I would encourage you all to spend some time on the Georgia Chamber's website. He made reference to a webinar this afternoon. They have a series of those ongoing. I've sat through a number of them, and they're hugely beneficial. So take advantage of that. They're here for that reason. last but certainly not least this morning, I want to invite our Mayor, Skip Henderson, to come up and make a few words. Then I'll be back, and we'll try to wrap up from there. Thank you. Mayor?
I'm older than these guys. It takes me a little longer to get up those steps. I couldn't do Pace's job today. Now, this is one of the really cool things about being able to be the mayor of this amazing city, and that is that I get to issue a few little thank yous and welcomes on behalf of the nearly 200,000 residents that don't know it yet, but this is one of the most exciting days that they have been the benefactors of in quite a while. So, first of all, I do want to add my thanks to the chamber staff for all the incredible work they did during this transition. Just an amazing job. Just kept things going. I want to thank Chris for the strong partnership we have with the state, and I particularly want to thank you for the red carpet tour. We're excited about that. And of course, Audrey and Pace, their leadership roles kind of bridged this search and these. I'm so tired of the word unprecedented, so I won't say it, but it's just been a real challenging time with some of the things that our country has had to, and our world has had to deal with. But mostly, I just want to welcome Gerald and Stephanie. We had an opportunity, the city manager and I had an opportunity to meet with Gerald when he came through. We appreciate the search committee bringing him by, and I guess it was the test, because they weren't sure he'd like us, so they let him meet Isaiah and I, and he stuck around. But when y'all left, the city manager and I just both said, that's the guy. That's the guy that completes the puzzle. That's the guy that is going to join with this leadership team that the chamber has in place, the development authority has in place, the relationships we've got with the state. And I pledge to you now the resources of the mayor's office, any endeavor that we can help with as you continue to move this community forward. I've been to the Beltline, had dinner there, have a daughter in Atlanta, and if just do half of that even in the first year. Now, just on behalf of the residents of Columbus, Georgia, we're excited about you joining our family, and we pledge to do everything we can, as Chris urged us to try to help make you not only enjoy your community, but to be thankful every day for the decision you have made and to make you successful. So to the both of you, thank you for being in Columbus, Georgia, and welcome. Thank y'all.
Well, amidst all of the terrible news that we seem to be living in, it's nice to have something fun and exciting to talk about. So I appreciate all of you taking the time to come out. Those of you watching at home and online, thank you for your participation. Again, to the chamber staff and the chamber board, thank you for your continued support of me and of the chamber. So exciting days are ahead. We have to wait a little bit longer until September before Gerald and Stephanie will officially move to town as he wraps up obligations at the Beltline and in and around Atlanta. But early fall, we're going to hit the ground running and kick this change into high gear. So thank you all for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And everyone, please be safe and remain healthy. Thanks for coming.